guys, welcome back to Unpacking Love. So excited to be kicking off the first episode with my guest this year. We've got Oye in the house. Oye, what's going on?
In the building. You already know. Hey everybody. It's really good to meet you guys. I'm really excited to be here today to talk on today's topic with Michelle. So I'm absolutely looking forward to it.
Yay! I'm so pumped. And actually, to give you guys a backstory of how this even came up, Oya and I were just talking about relationships and all of that stuff. And we had a blast talking about this. So you guys are like, okay, what's the topic? So let's get into that. Today, we're going to be talking about being back to basics and talking about relationships themselves. Okay. So the first question that we're going to be talking about right now is what does it mean to be in a relationship? So, Oya, you want to kick us off? In your experience, what does it mean?
Oh man. Well, first of all, I'm gonna say to people, happy 2023, yo. If you're sitting at home, chilling, drinking a coffee, whatever you're doing right now, happy 2023, Fill the room up with some
Yay!
energy.
Yes, I'm so rude. You guys are like, wow, it took
Exactly.
a whole guest to say Happy New Year to us. Guys, Happy New Year from me too.
It's
Okay.
all
Thank you so
good.
much, Oya. Thank you. Wow.
Exactly. Now you're welcome. What does it mean to be in a relationship? This is it's a big question. We're starting off the year with big questions, I see.
Hmm.
I mean, to me, the first word that comes to mind is commitment, right? Um, and that's not something I was always good at. Not for reasons that I would say were very clear to me. I feel like a lot of us go around with childhood traumas and different things that happen over the course of our lives, and we never really dissect or resolve these issues, and we go into relationships with all of our issues anyway. But circling back to what the question is, what is a relationship? It means commitment. The day you decide to be in a relationship as a man is the day you decide to give that woman everything, assuming it's a woman. All good if it's not. But that's the day you fully commit yourself to that person. That's the day, in my opinion, you're putting that person's needs ahead of yours, and they're putting your needs ahead of theirs as well. So that's the day you guys really get into that communion. And I feel like there's a lot that goes into it. And I'm ashamed to say, when I was younger, I didn't take it that seriously. I just dated people when I was younger because they look good. And let's just say heartbreaks over the years has taught me so much. I've eaten so much breakfast in my life. Um, and, and they've taught me, that when you deciding to go into a relationship, you're deciding to commit yourself. You're deciding that this is the one person I want to be with. You're deciding this is the person I want to do life with. That's what a relationship means to me. How about for you, Michelle?
Oh, nice. Wow. You went in. And you know what? When you were talking about you've you've been eating breakfast. So the people who are listening, something you might know. If you don't know me personally, look, I am a huge Burna Boy fan. Okay. So Burna Boy has a song called Last Last, which a lot of you guys have probably heard. But thing is, I don't know that when he says everybody go and chop breakfast, that chopping breakfast was heartbreak. So the whole time I was listening to the song, I was like, man, people must really love breakfast. So anyway, when Oya says eating breakfast, he's talking about heartbreak. Okay, so
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
that's what eating
Fresh.
breakfast is. Look, look. On my end, I'll tell you, breakfast has definitely been served. There were a few times where I served breakfast, and there were times when I was humbly served breakfast. But you know what? It's all good. We made it through. So I definitely agree with what you
Yep.
said. I think that relationships, when it's a committed relationship, it definitely comes with commitment, right? And I think it's important that, before getting into a relationship, if you are the person, let's say you're the guy and you're going to ask a woman to be in a relationship with you, to really assess, within yourself, if you're ready to give someone that commitment. And I think by commitment, I don't know, like
Mhm.
maybe you can go more into it, or yeah, what you mean by commitment. But when I think about
Yep.
commitment, I mean like there's resources, right? And resources can be time, like attention, just different things that you wouldn't necessarily have to pour into one person. You're now giving that to them. And in addition to that, there's also a loyalty piece where it's like, okay, I'm committing to be with you, right? Like if it's not an
Mm.
open relationship, I'm committing to just be with you and
Mhm.
like see this I guess coming together go by, like for the two
Yeah.
of us. So yeah, so I definitely think commitment is a big one, and I also think that loyalty is a big one. I think
Agree.
also, on the other hand, too, if you're the woman who's being asked by someone if you want to be in a relationship, I think it's also important to look within yourself if you're ready to commit to that person, because sometimes, hey, maybe you're still seeing what's out there. And I think it's actually
Mm.
better for you when someone asks you to be in a relationship, if you're not ready to be in a relationship with them, to be like, hey, you know what? I'm not ready to be in a relationship.
Yeah.
Because
Agree.
if there's some, and I
Yep.
had like, conversations with some friends, I definitely have friends who've gotten into relationships with people out of sympathy for the person, like, man, like this person really really likes me, and I feel bad, and so she ends
Mm.
up being in the relationship with this guy. But the truth of it was, like, she wasn't wholeheartedly into it. It was more of
Of
like,
course.
he really
Yeah.
loves me, and I just feel like I have to give
Yeah.
that person. So I always feel like, look, at the end of the day, if you do that, you're gonna end up serving someone breakfast. Like, why are you serving someone's son
That's right.
breakfast for
Hot
something?
breakfast.
Look, for real, okay? Something that they
Yeah.
didn't need to
Yeah.
go through. I think if I was the person, right, I would rather someone be very sure that they want to be in a relationship with me before they ask me, than for them to like say, "Oh, she's always really liked me. Like, let's just do a trial run that I don't know about," right?
Mm.
And now, like, I'm in this relationship, and
Yeah.
then it ends. So I think it's really important to think on both ends before asking someone, and before saying yes, if you're ready to be committed to that person and to fully give, I guess, yourself to that person. And this is all assuming that this is in a committed relationship. Of course, there's different types of relationships out
Agree.
there. We're not talking about open
Yep.
relationships at
Yep.
this point. I also think that
Yep.
in general, if I say I'm in a relationship with someone, it really means that there's something special about this guy, right? It's no
Yep.
longer like, oh, this
That's
is
right.
just a friend. It's all the stuff I would get from a male friend plus more. There's like
Mm.
extras, right?
That's right.
I think with being in
That's
a
right.
relationship as well, I think one big word I will use is, being in a relationship comes with expectations. There's a part of you that you owe to that person. Like, if we're just friends, you don't owe me an explanation if you don't
Mm.
call me. Because also, why am I expecting my friend to be calling me every day, right? But if you're my boyfriend and you're not communicating with me, then you owe me an explanation. Whereas like a guy friend just wouldn't owe me that explanation. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on all of this.
I mean, you mentioned a few things that I found very interesting and worthy of being broken apart. So I'll start with you mentioning the fact that there's different types of relationship. I personally would say that I have found that the type of relationship I want to be in my life is monogamous relationships, and that's
Mm,
just because that's for me. That's what I choose. But you also mentioned something. You said you feel like there's expectations when a relationship comes into question. Over the course of my life, I feel like one of the other things that I've learned, and I feel like this is such an unpopular opinion. I hope if you're chilling at home with the coffee right now, I hope you're not gonna spill it when I say this. But in my personal opinion, I feel like there should not be high expectations in a relationship. Personally, I feel like there should not be high expectations, and this is what I mean by that. In a simpler version, if you're looking for a partner to get married to, right? And you choose
hmm
a partner with high expectations. Expectations come directly with disappointment, right? If a partner's expectations, for example, is I want flowers every 2 weeks, it seems simple enough, but there's probably going to be some times that you probably can't do those flowers every 2 weeks, either because you're broke or because something happened. I don't know, a dog bit you somewhere and you can't walk. So now you can't get her the flowers. And if she has those expectations, she's still going to be mad after those 2 weeks have passed. What I'm trying to say is, for me personally, I feel like you got to find a partner that has low expectations but know what they're worth. So if you know what you're worth as a person, but you give grace in a relationship, I feel like it covers for everything. Like flowers should be, you could have a boyfriend that gives you flowers maybe every couple of days, and he could just do that because that's just something he loves to do. And maybe he asked you about it. But I feel like you shouldn't have that pressure of it has to be on a certain set frequency base. I mean, even when it comes to things like, I don't know if you guys are allowed to talk about it in this podcast, but sex, if as soon as you make sex a timed thing, like, oh, we have to have sex every 2 days, it becomes a job automatically. And that expectation for the person who has the expectation it kills because they feel like I'm asking my girlfriend for something and she's not giving it to me.
Mhm.
And the woman on the other hand feels like he's giving me a job, and this is no longer fun. Maybe she even loved to, anyway, let me skip that particular topic. Yeah.
He's going
So what
in.
I'm just saying is what I'm just saying is expectations, I feel, is one of the things that kills joy in relationships. And so for me personally, I keep my expectations low. All I have to offer is love, unconditional love. And there's lessons, some very deep lessons that I've learned over being in relationships. And I carry those lessons at the forefront of my heart and never repeat the same mistakes. Right. And I'm trying to remind myself of what I'm worth.
I love that. And I also want to challenge that. I think that
I love it.
there's a difference between having expectations. Okay, like there's a difference between having expectations and then when we talk about high maintenance, right? So when I say I have
Mm,
expectations, it means like if I'm in a relationship with
okay.
you, Oye, I expect you to communicate with me because if you're in a
Of
relationship with me
course.
and you don't talk to me during the day, that's kind of crazy to me, right? It's like, well, then I might as well just be
Gotcha.
single, right? Because I also feel like, hey, if I'm in a relationship with you and you and I aren't communicating, now I have all this anxiety. Now I
Yeah.
have no peace. You know what I mean? It's better for me to just be alone without you
Gotcha.
than to have you stressing me by not
Facts.
communicating. The other stuff, though, I think there's
Facts.
also realistic expectations and then there's unrealistic expectations, right? Like if I'm going into a
Amen.
situation,
Amen.
hey, say it louder for the people at the back, okay? So realistic expectations and unrealistic expectations. So if I'm,
Mm,
dating someone like an average person, right? And I'm expecting this person to take me on a trip to like a different continent every month, that's an unrealistic expectation given the situation that this person is in, right? But if
yep.
I'm expecting
Facts.
something like, hey, you know what? Like once a month, take me on a date. That is not an unrealistic expectation, right? And also, I think a date is open to interpretation. Like you could,
Right.
we could go
Right.
out to eat, we could like go to karaoke, we could just do different things. So that's a realistic expectation for
Mm,
that person. And then there's also unrealistic expectations. Now, another piece to expectations is I think it's important to be able to communicate those things to someone because I think a lot of times too in relationships people
yep.
have expectations of their partners and the partners have no idea that they're being expected to do certain things, right? And I think
Mm,
disappointment also comes when you're expecting someone to do something, they don't do it, but they also didn't know about it. Now
yeah.
you're disappointed. However,
Yep.
if I had an expectation when something wasn't done
Yep.
and I addressed it, I was like, hey, you know what? This is something that I expect. And you and I had the conversation and you saw where I was coming from and you agreed to do it. The next time that that expectation is not brought to fruition, I am going to be mad. I am going to be disappointed. And I know, at least when I look at it, I'm like, okay, if someone is going to repeat the same offense over and over again, then we have a problem because it's not like
Mm.
you don't know what I'm expecting. You know what the expectations are, and you also agreed to meet the expectations.
Michelle, what you just said right now, I've eaten breakfast over what you're talking about right now. Um, real true life story, true life story, Um, you know, I was in a particular relationship and she kept, everything else was perfect, right? But this
Hmm.
one particular thing, and she kept telling me about it. This is hurting me. This is really hurting me. And I used to think that I heard her. Well, I
Hmm.
did hear her and I tried to do something about it, but I could not understand why I was doing it. So I kept doing it because it felt good. Right. But
Mm.
anyway, that should have been one of that should have been one of that should have been like a reminder in my mind because if you're doing something because it feels good, there's probably a problem there because only kids do things that feel good. Only kids do things because they feel good. Adults do things because it has to be done or because there's a certain reason behind it. You get what I mean?
Mm. Hmm.
So, but anyway, she kept repeating to me that this was hurting her. And after a while, she stopped telling me it was hurting her, but I could see it was hurting her. And for some reason, my brain I feel like fire if I could fire my brain over this, I would, you know, and it just kept happening. It kept happening until one day I wasn't even doing it. She just was crying and she said she was done. And
Yeah.
fellas, you hear a woman say that, and at the back of your mind, you're like, yeah, no, it's good. I'm gonna work it out. But the crazy part was at that point in time, it was also eating at me because I really wanted to figure it out. So what I
Mm.
did from there was I started, I really wanted to, I was asking, I wanted her back, right? Like, because everything else was great. Like I said, this is like
Mhm.
wife material type of person. So anyway, what I had to do was I had to go dig deep into why. The question I didn't want to answer when we were together, I had to answer it when we broke up, you know? So I had to go dig deep into my past to figure out why I was doing that. Now I'm at a point where I know I would not repeat that mistake. But you see, when you hurt that person over and over and over and over again, they've given you all the chances. They come to that breaking point where they're just not going to give you any further chances, and
Mm.
that's just kind of where it sucks because now you're left with pain, right? So
Mhm.
for fellas, you in the house, you hugging on your girl right now, and maybe, I don't know, maybe in your case, she's telling you to take out the trash, or maybe in your case, it's something more serious. Whatever it is, go do it right now. But
Pause.
then also
Pause the
ask yourself,
podcast.
yeah, exactly. But also ask yourself, why is it difficult for you to do it? Or why are you having a problem doing it? And if you can't figure it out, bro, please pray about it. Pray about it. Go to therapy, something. Figure it out before she leaves you, and then you're sad, and then you have to figure it out, and then you can't even get her back. And now you're back on the streets where there's nothing on the streets. So, bro, listen to me when I say, do what you're supposed to do, man. Do what you're supposed to do,
I
Real life talk.
absolutely love that. Honestly, I absolutely love that because I think your story, and I'm sorry it ended in breakfast, honestly. I really prayed that, the
It was
years
breakfast,
ahead.
lunch, and dinner at the same time. In
Oh
fact, there was a
gosh.
midnight snack involved too.
Oh my gosh. Look, guys, I mean, look, I'm laughing about this right now, but y'all know, for those of you who listen to the breakup episodes that I did with Video and Colin, y'all know I've been through some stuff. Okay. So when I'm laughing now, it's not like, oh, this is really funny stuff about heartbreak, but it's nice to then come out
Mm,
of heartbreak and be able to, like, reflect. And honestly, what I love, Oya, about your story is also how you're able to look back and be like, you know what? I was served breakfast and this was my fault because this person had continuously told me and I just was doing my own thing, right? So I think also that's the good thing
yeah.
about dating or being in relationships is that I feel like with each breakup there's going to be some lesson to take away from it. So, yeah, I mean I
You
honestly
know,
love the example you gave.
Michelle, I gotta be honest with you. I'm at the point in my life where I'm like ready for like a family, a stable
Mm,
relationship, then get married someday. I don't want
mm.
none of this breakfast anymore, man. Like I'm done. I'm like done. Like if I get into a relationship and she's having a problem and she tell me to do something, even if I don't know why I need to do it, I'm gonna go do it. As long as it's nothing
Mm.
illegal, we're not gonna go rob a bank or nothing. But what I'm trying to say is
Bonnie and
I'll pay more
Clyde.
attention. Yeah, anything that gets her even thinking about being hurt, bro, you best believe I'm on it, right?
Mhm, mhm.
But obviously, this better me would have never come to pass if I'd never gone through that experience. But if you're at home with your girl right now, you don't need to go through this terrible experience to get the learning. Just hear what the hell I'm telling you and go do it,
I
bro.
love that. You know what? I love the advice that's coming from Oya. Oya is just giving advice like, look, guys, based on experience and all of that
Amen.
stuff,
I'm preaching.
you know, hey, for real. And I think also that's another, you bring up a good point, right? Because sometimes you're with someone who's a great person. And I think you really have to consider what someone is telling you when they tell you they're being hurt over something. Because you have to sit down with yourself and be like, okay, is this someone I actually want to be with for the long term, right? Whether it's like marriage or like a long term relationship. And
Exactly.
if the answer is yes, then you're going to have to course correct. Because I think also, one thing about people is people will react very differently. There's someone who will continuously tell you something like, stop doing this, stop
Yeah.
doing this. And then there's some people who will just tell you one time, like, don't do this. And then the next time you do it, it's a deal breaker. So you just don't want to wait until the
Yeah.
person has gotten to their breaking point because sometimes it's sad, but there's no point of return. So, oh yeah, actually a question I have for you is, it sounds like, I think when you're talking earlier on in your I was gonna say dating career, but you know what I'm trying to say. But when you like first started dating, it was just kind of
It's a
like,
marathon.
I'm like, hey, for real, listen. So when you started, getting into relationships or dating, it was more of like, oh, for fun.
Yeah.
And I think from what you're saying now, it sounds like you're looking at things more seriously. So would you say that the way you define relationships or the way you see relationships has changed over time?
Definitely. I mean, when I was much younger, I'll date a girl because she looked good. Like,
Mm.
as long as sis is fine, when they start asking what are we, I'm like, all right, sure, what do you want? You want us to be in a we in a relationship. It didn't mean anything to me. Do you get what I mean?
Okay.
And I think because it didn't mean that much to me, it also assisted in some of my mess ups. Now, as I grew older, it meant more and more and more to me because the circumstances or the consequences were much worse, right?
Mm,
Like when I
mhm.
was younger, I could just leave a girl and bounce back and be good. Now, leave a girl, shit, you down for like I don't know, a year. It's just because when we were
Bro.
younger, yeah, when you're younger, you were probably in college, you got all this stuff going on, and the girls are just not able to fuse themselves into your life. They're not wife material yet. They're still young and
Mm.
learning. So you guys see each other once a week or whatever the case may be. It's just not that serious yet. But I'm
Mhm.
at the phase of life where it's a wife situation, right? And which means
Mhm.
you guys intermingle your lives. And such an important person leaves your life, best believe there's a big hole, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
so where I am in my life right now is a phase where I'm literally praying to God. I feel like God
Mm.
is, I'm in the phase where before I get into a relationship, I pray to God and say, is she the one? You get what I
Mm.
mean? And I
Mhm.
feel like for guys that get to that, when you're at that point, it's even more important to be careful of who you choose because like I said, breaking up is almost like devastating anyway. So you don't want a person
Mhm.
who you feel you might need to break up with in the future. So you
Mhm.
need to also go ask yourself, what do I want in a woman? I got a list. I got a list. 8 things only, but it's solid. I'm a simple guy. But you gotta go look inside yourself. What is it really that you want in a woman? You get what I mean?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
when you find that person and you guys start loving it up, keep the Mac loving going and never stop. But the way I look at relationships now is just pretty much, is this person a match? Is this somebody I could see myself with in the future? Could this be my wife? You get what I mean? But I
Mm.
feel like,
Yep.
when I was much younger, if you mentioned the word wife to me when I was younger, I would probably break up with the person for just mentioning wife. But I was much younger, right? I was just
Right.
stupid. But yeah, so things happen, we grow, we learn.
Yep.
But the phase of life that I'm at right now is just different. How about you? How's your definition for relationships changed?
I love what you said. And before I even get to answering that, the reason why I started chuckling when he mentioned that he has a list of 8 things was because, oh yeah, remember the conversation we had? And I told him I had a list, I had a list of 34 things, guys.
Yo, Michelle
34
got 1 billion things.
things.
It sounded
He
like
was
1 billion to me.
so he's like, list the things on your list. And like, honestly, I mean, I wrote this list like years back. You know what I mean? I actually have it's in a notebook somewhere. I haven't found the list. But anyway, whatever. So I have 34
Yeah.
things and he has 8 things. He's like, oh, guys, I'm a very simple guy. And I'm like, oh, I have 34 things. But anyway, I love what you said, right? And I think from what you're saying, I think when we were younger, and my experience is pretty much similar to yours, where like when I was younger, honestly, being in a relationship was just like, like I remember when I got into my first relationship, right? I was like, what, 16, 17, or something like that. And the way we
God
even got
damn, you
into the
started young.
relationship, stop, it's not that young. And actually, do you know what? Actually, let me actually say this
I
to people
hope
on
your
the
mom and
podcast.
dad are listening right now.
It was a secret relationship. They didn't need to know nothing. And I think sometimes, honestly, parents know, they just don't ask, to be honest. I was like 16, 17. But how I even got into the relationship um, was, I thought he was cute. He thought I was cute. And we were texting, and he was just like, will you be my girlfriend? And I was like, yes. I don't see why not, And actually, oh, it's funny that you said that I started young. When I started dating, which maybe I was 17, not 16, like I remember like my friends had had boyfriends, and I was like, oh my God, what's wrong with me? And I remember praying to God, God, I need a
Mm.
boyfriend. I need a boyfriend. And honestly, I don't think that was a prayer answered by God. I think that was just like, okay, it just
Yeah.
coincidentally happened that I ended up in a relationship with this
Yep.
guy. But anyway,
Yep.
at that time, yeah, like, going into a relationship with him, I didn't think about, is this someone I want to marry?
Mhm.
But now
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
as I got older, like you said, uh I think actually what makes it more painful when a breakup happens when you're older is the fact that, like, sometimes, especially if you had imagined the future with someone, or you had intentionally gotten into a relationship with someone, it hurts because now
Mm,
you're now breaking up with like the current situation and the past that you've had with this person, but also the future and what you imagined with the person, right? And also, I mean, we're
yeah.
getting older, so it's like, okay, well, you have plans to like settle down, have kids and stuff like that. So sometimes some people are also
Yep.
grieving, lost time and that kind of stuff. So I think
Yeah.
in the past, the intention was to have fun. It was really like to have
Yep.
fun, to have someone to be like, oh, I have a boyfriend. And then as you get older, it's kind of like, okay, now I'm starting to see, like, I need to start thinking seriously about things. And like you said, can
Yeah.
I see myself with this person? Like, are we aligned? And something that I've just learned is this, you can be a great person. Like, you as the girl, you can be a great person. You as the guy, you're a great person. But together, if you're not aligned, right, it's not good for you guys to be in a
Mm,
relationship. Does that make sense? Like, it doesn't make any one of you
yeah.
a bad person. It's just that you're just not
True.
a good fit for each other. And I think that's also
Yeah.
okay. So I honestly also think that one other difference that I see when it comes to relationships is when we were
Mm,
younger, maybe you wouldn't think so deeply before getting into a relationship with someone, right? It was more of like, oh, let's just do it like in the moment, whatever. We have nothing to lose. But then now when you're older, you have a
yeah.
lot more things that you're thinking about and like asking the person
True.
to really get to know them.
True.
So you know what? I feel like as you get older, sometimes maybe the talking stage is actually longer than what it was in the past, right? Like when I look at my
Yeah.
first experience, we were just texting because we thought we were cute or blah 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 blah. He asked me to be his girlfriend. I was like, yes, sure. But then
Mm,
now I don't think if a guy was to just meet me and we're texting for 2 days and then he's like, be my girlfriend, I'd be like, yes, because there's now a lot more at stake and a lot more to think
right.
about. So I think the
Yeah.
talking stage is now longer, but I am also, let this podcast reflect, I am anti 1 year talking stages. What are you doing? Like, what are we really talking
Yeah.
about
But
for a
you
year?
also got a list of 34 things, Michelle. I just
Okay,
want to
sir.
remember that you got
Sir.
34 things that you're still
Sir.
looking for. So I don't know who this brother's gonna be, but this brother's gonna have 34 different things that he's gonna have to meet.
Okay, you know what? I need to find that list. But from what I remember when I wrote the list, it's
Please
not
do.
unrealistic stuff. It's not unrealistic stuff, guys, just so you know. Maybe it's like, normal
Yeah.
stuff that I broke into like 5 bullets. Okay. So
We'll
yeah.
just let the record reflect. Everybody that ever made a list that was unrealistic always says it's not unrealistic.
But you know what, actually? Let's actually talk about this list thing. Because I feel like maybe, okay, my list and your list are very different because you have a
It
list of
is.
like 8 things.
Mhm.
I have a list of like, say, 34 things, right? And to be honest, when the guy is great, that list of 34, I'm not trying to check everything on the list. You know what I mean? So
See,
maybe I need to rewrite my
mhm,
list so that I can have 100%
right.
pass rates, which is what Oye is going for. Because right now, I don't know if I'm really getting
Exactly.
100% pass rates.
Because yeah, the reason I mention it, Michelle, is from a place of love, right? The reason I mention it is because, yo, all I've been doing in the last couple of months is reflection, guys. I'm fresh out of reflection. Like reflection is my middle name right now. And the reason why
Stop.
why the reason why I'm advocating for a shorter list, Michelle, is
Hmm.
just because if you put in a list of all the nice to haves, when you finally see somebody that meets some of the nice to haves, you know, it might delude you into thinking they match enough of the like if they meet 16 out of your
Mm.
34, is it good enough? If they meet 18, is it good enough? But if you put it down to a list of literally essentials, if you put it down to that
Mhm.
list, it's easy for you to look through, see, okay, do they match these essentials? And if they do, everything else you're gonna figure out because everybody's gonna come with something, right?
That
Everybody's gonna
is
come with
true.
something. So that's why I say if we keep it to essentials, it'll be great. So no more 34 things, guys. If you're watching at home, just keep it down to below 10 at least. You get what I mean? Yeah.
No, I think that's fair. So actually, your list of eight, so is that a list of eight
Hmm.
deal breakers? Is your list a list of deal breakers? Like if that's not met,
No.
it's a no.
So
Oh,
okay. So I thought about making a list of deal breakers.
okay.
And what I realized was fixating on it was putting me in a negative space because I'm thinking about the things I don't want. Right. So it's like when you're talking to the person on your date or whatever it is you're doing, you're talking to them, figuring out trying to figure out things you don't want. But when you guys first start going out on dates, everybody puts their best foot forward. So you would never find it, right? Except if it's a very literal deal breaker, like, oh, you don't want someone with a big ass forehead, for example. That's easy. You can see that.
Wow.
You can
Don't
see
be
that.
saying that.
You can,
Wow.
you can
Wow, you're
see
very
that. Yeah,
wicked.
hey, yo,
I am
because
reacting
when
on
you're
behalf
thinking
of
about
all East African women right
Michelle,
now. East
when you're
African
thinking about
women
kids,
have
when you're thinking about kids, you know, I don't know, but for me, big ass forehead is not a deal breaker. You get what I mean? But if it was, I'll be able to see that easy. Like you don't got to say nothing. I can see it. You know, for a woman, maybe it's a bald headed dude. But I'm saying most of your
right.
deal
Okay,
breakers will
okay.
be, oh, maybe you put your breaker as I don't want somebody who's not communicative, for example. That's your deal breaker. Well, how the hell would you know if he's not communicative? Because on the first date, he's there to make you smile and be happy, and you guys eat your food
Mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm.
you guys are talking about happy thoughts. He's going to be communicative. That's why he's there. You will only find out if
Right.
he's not communicative when you're already in the relationship. You're risking a whole breakfast. So I decided to focus exactly. You will be risking breakfast if you wait until the relationship is halfway in before you figure that out. So I decided to
Wait,
focus on the
no.
things that I do want.
No,
Go
no, no,
on.
no, no. Okay, let me rephrase this. Okay, so I'm not saying, for example, like the list would be written as number one, I do not want someone who smokes, right? I'm saying,
Yeah.
let's say whatever's on your list, your list of 8 things is like list of things you're looking for in a woman that you would want to
Correct.
potentially marry someday, right? So what I'm saying is if
Correct.
any of those
Yes.
eight are not met, doesn't mean that the person is disqualified. So is your
No, no.
list of
It's
8 okay, so there's, like, flexibility, it sounds like.
there is flexibility, but it depends on the context. Like one of the things is a woman that seeks the heart of God, right? And that's
Mhm.
forgiving and loving. So that could mean different things. I'm not saying you need to go to church every Sunday. Shit, I don't even go to church every Sunday. Well, this year I am, so I guess I need to start saying that because I've been doing the online church I'm
Mhm.
trying to this year I'm a better man. You get what I mean? I'm better in every
Hey,
way possible. Praise
come
Jesus
on
for
now.
that, you know.
Praise the
Found my way
Lord.
back to Jesus. I heal all the bad stuff that I did in the past. I'm better. Don't tell me about last year or
Amen.
the things I did years ago that was bad.
Come
I'm
on,
different now.
brother. I
I'm
love
preaching
it.
it. Yep. Yeah, but what I'm saying what I'm saying is there's flexibility. If I say a woman that seeks the heart of God, she might have not even gone to church in the last 5 years. But you would know a
Mm,
person's heart as long as they're saying, you know what? This God, I believe this God, I want to find my way. Because that was me. You get what I'm so just
okay,
because I
okay.
found God back now doesn't mean I could turn my back on the people who's still trying to look for him. You get what I mean? It just
Gotcha. Okay,
means
okay.
you just need to have those essentials of the faith. That's what I'm saying. You get what I mean? So that's
Okay,
what I
gotcha,
mean.
gotcha.
So it's not necessarily like the deal breakers like absolutely check this box or don't check it. It's more of a guideline, right? That's how I think about it at least.
Mm,
Yeah.
okay, okay. Gotcha, gotcha. No, I think that was very helpful to, like, hear you explain.
You were talking about, yourself and your relationship with breakfast in the past. Michelle, do you have a recommended timeline for people that's going through breakfast at the moment? Because it seems like you have a PhD in breakfast management.
Wow! That would not be my portion in Jesus' name. No breakfast this year. No breakfast.
Amen. Amen
This
to
year
that, because no
onwards.
more breakfast.
Yes.
Not just
Look.
this year, forever. Forever.
Amen. Amen. And I'm
We're in a
claiming it
different
right
seasoning.
now. For real. So you
Yes,
said breakfast management, right? Is that what you're asking?
correct.
Okay. This is what I think, guys. You know, I have been a soldier in the breakfast, battles. I've gone through it. I've gone through it. And honestly, what I'll say is there's no timeline. Okay. There's no timeline for how
Mm,
long it would take you to get over someone. For some people, it's a 3-month relationship. It takes you a year to get over. For some people, it's a 3-year relationship and it takes you 2 years to get over. What I would just say though is something I watched on Instagram. It was a dating coach, and what he was saying was that it's really good to reflect and to go through all the emotions. When you've gone through a breakup with somebody, but you have to get to a
mm,
point where your thoughts about whatever happened are productive, right?
mm,
So if you now find yourself every single day you're thinking about your ex, but you're thinking, oh, we should just get back together. But you already know, for example, that you're not going to get back together due to whatever circumstances there were, then that's not
Mhm.
productive anymore, right? Essentially, you can end up taking a whole year to get over someone,
Yeah.
but you are still feeling the same way you felt like on day 365 after chopping breakfast. You're
Mm,
still feeling the same way you
mm,
felt the day that it happened. That's not productive because you're just thinking over and over the same thing, over the same thing, and there's no progress. And I remember when I went through my breakup, actually, one of my friends, because I would just be crying, and it's very natural to cry, guys. Like I'll just be crying and all
yeah.
that stuff. So one of my girls was checking in on me. She's like, "How are you doing?" And I was like, it's rough, man. Like I will be fine, and then I'll just start crying. And so she started saying,
Yeah.
"Okay, let's try to start measure. Like there's a time for everything, right? It's okay to cry a lot
Mm.
in the beginning, but if you're just still
Amen.
crying and it's like time has passed, that's not good." So she's like, "Okay, let's now try and dial back the crying, right? Like try not to think about him all the time." And it takes work. Like sometimes it's like, okay, if the thought is coming about this guy, I have to think about something else. Or I have to go out there and do certain things with friends. Like I feel like something that really helps me get through my breakup was just doing a lot of things with friends. If someone was like, let's go for karaoke, like would go for karaoke. If someone was like, oh, let's have a dinner at like a friend's place, like I would go. So I was just finding opportunities to leave the house, and I also had a good community of friends. So that's what I would
Mm.
say. How about you? What advice would you give?
I mean, I'm in no position to give advice, guys. But what I'll say is, honestly, it's tough. The first thing I think you nailed it on the head. Things that have helped me, or things that do help me, is
Mhm.
number one. So I'm a loner by choice in general, but it's something that I've been trying to change, and I think I've been changing it. I now have a healthy group of friends that that we hang out and stuff. We're actually doing something
Mhm.
this Sunday, so that's gonna be fun. Um, but like, you need a community. You cannot do it by yourself. You know,
Mhm.
you know, um, you name it, I've done it. Whatever it is, when it comes to just being hurt and trying to get the person back, you name it, I have definitely done it. Um, but I think, yeah, you definitely need friends for sure. And the second thing is, if somebody says something, you see, I'm the type of person, I'm selective about things that I choose to do. Like, you would ask me to do something, I would just say no without even thinking about it. When I'm going through breakfast season, if you ask me for something, I don't care what the hell it is, we going. And it's just because, yo, your mind will be your prison in breakfast
Mhm.
season, right? Your mind is gonna keep playing back. So the thing is, you need the pain, right? The pain is
Right.
very important. The pain
Mhm.
is what's going to help you learn from that situation. A friend of mine and I was having this conversation, and he was like, "Bro, you need that pain." You get what I'm saying? So
Right.
the pain is good, but like you said, there's a point where, maybe your situation is you go to therapy or whatever it is, and you start doing that and you really figure out what happened, and now you understand it. When you first understand it, all you want to do is go back to your ex and tell them, I figured it out. I'm better now. And you'd be surprised they just
Mm.
gonna tell your ass no. Because you see, she didn't figure what you just figured out. To her, you're the person that has said you were going to change multiple times, and that never happened. So she will still be seeing you as who you were. But you see, your
Mhm.
job is to start walking in the new path of who you want to be and who you are now. You see, who you were yesterday should not determine who you are tomorrow. It shouldn't determine
Come
who you
on
are
now.
today. So what I'm
Mhm.
saying is, even though it's gonna be hard and there's gonna be a lot of guilt, a lot of regret, and all that, I'm saying if they ask you to go out for that karaoke and you already learned the lesson, take note. First, learn the lesson. That's important. Don't go out to no
Mhm.
goddamn karaoke if you ain't learned the lesson yet. Because if you don't learn the lesson, that thing is gonna come back and bite you in the future. You get what I
That's
mean?
true.
First, take
Yeah.
time in solitude. Take time in solitude. And it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be one of the hardest things you ever do in your life. But take
Mhm.
time to yourself, even though you don't want to be by yourself. Run through all those thoughts, run through the entire relationship in your mind, and try to figure out why you couldn't do better, why you couldn't change these things that were bad. Figure it out, work on it, stay on it until you figure it out. But as soon as you learn the lesson, as soon as you understand and connect all the dots, You see, the only thing that's left from that pain is pain at that point. So that's when you start going to karaoke. That's when you start saying
Mm.
yes to everything. If they tell you, oh, we're gonna go check out rats in the zoo. Some people might invite you to go check out rats.
Oh gosh.
Say yes. Go check out goddamn rats. If people say, what are you doing this weekend? We're checking out rats. That's cool.
That's what we're
But
doing.
what I'm
That's what we're
exactly.
doing.
Exactly. So it's a two-step process. First, learn your lesson because that's important because you don't want to do the same thing in a future relationship, right? You
Mhm,
want
mhm.
to you want to understand the learning from that experience, right? That's number
Yeah.
1. And most of the time, and this has happened to me so many times where I continue to hold out hope, especially after I've already learned the lesson. Hold out hope that the person will
Mm.
see me for who I am now versus who I used to be, or hold out hope that they would just give things another chance. One of the things that's really difficult for me as a person is to let go, truly let go of people. And what I've been learning at the same time is just because you are now this new person and better doesn't mean that person needs to see you that way. It's okay if they still
Mm.
think you're the bad person that you were. It's okay if they still think you do those things because you know what? Let me tell you something. This was actually a real life thing that happened. I'm going through breakfast season, right? And during this breakfast season, I'm begging, I'm doing all this stuff. And by the way, you shouldn't beg when you're in breakfast season, but it's easier said than done. I'm trying to get this girl back, right? And I'm
Mhm.
praying to God at the same time, like, God, I've already learned the lesson. God, what's next? I've already learned the lesson. You showed me that she's supposed to be the one. What's happening? And guess what God did? It made me have a car accident.
Oh.
So, and I'm not somebody that has car accidents, like never. I'm a good ass driver. So when this happened, you know, I'm asking myself, God, what's going on? Why did this accident happen? And, it's sort of like a revelation came to me where I realized he's like, you see, son, you've learned the lesson. You're better now. Now, the what's left for you now is to look around you. You're looking around you saying this one person that matters to me, like the whole world is rejecting me continuously. But you're forgetting one thing. You should be grateful, boy, because you got life. You are alive,
Mm.
right? And as
Wow.
long as you're alive, you got a second chance. And guess what? When you meet new people, they give you a brand new slate, bro. You don't have to
Mhm.
you don't have to tell them that you done some bad things. You just come prepared. And that's how you know you're ready for like a real commitment relationship or anything like because you are fully prepared. And if
Mhm,
that means you're
mhm.
going back to your ex fully prepared, that's fine too. You get what I'm saying? But one of the things that God is showing me is as you look forward, if there's going to be people in your life that continue to look backward at who you used to be, now it's different if you guys want to make it work, right? You can definitely
Mhm,
make it work. And some women are too good to let go. So if she's a good woman, hold
mhm.
on and hope that she comes back. But that hope can kill you. It can hurt. And for me, that hope was one of
Yo.
the things that drove me to go have this car accident. And after this car accident, I started saying, God, thank you, because I've learned this lesson and I've
Mhm.
done everything I can, and I have shown this woman that I want to do everything I can to be back with
Mhm.
them. But if they show you that they don't want that, that's okay too. Hope,
Wow.
hope. The
Yeah,
big thing is you
yeah.
look forward and you look at where you are and you give God glory because God ain't through with you yet. This ain't supposed to be a preaching session, but
Wow, now you're preaching. Hey, you're preaching.
exactly.
I'm taking notes. You said so many good things in just everything that you're saying. I was taking down some notes. So, one thing I'll say for sure is I think it's good that we actually spoke about this whole going through a breakup thing and trying to um I guess heal from past pain. That's a key
Yeah.
piece before getting into the next relationship. Is you definitely want to make sure that you have dealt with all the feelings that you had for like your ex, right? Like when you I feel like when you think about the person that you were with, your ex, and you still feel some sort of like strong emotions, whether it's like
Yep.
anger or it's like love for them, then I don't think it's the right time to get into a relationship. Like
That's
it's good
right.
for you to deal with all of that, all of your past
That's right.
stuff before getting into another relationship because you don't want to carry that hurt into somebody else's life and then hey maybe you're not over your ex and then your ex is back now you're breaking up with someone else and serving them breakfast. So that was key. Now,
Correct.
I think something also that you said, when you're speaking about like breakfast and like thinking through the lessons and all of that stuff, I think that was more also from the perspective of, let's say, maybe you're the one who's messed up in the situation, right? And now you've seen what you did wrong and like
Yeah.
you want somebody back. Now I want to speak to the people who maybe the breakup caught you off guard. Maybe you didn't do anything wrong, but something was going on with that person and they broke up with you. I still think it's important for you to, take what Oya said, think about what happened. But I think something too that you said that was really important is to think of your own life. Now, I'm saying this to people who maybe feel like hurting themselves after somebody breaks their heart and stuff like that. And guys, what I will say, and I think a word that you kept on saying as well was the word season, right? I think when you're going through heartbreak,
Yeah.
and I've been through it, when you're going through it, you just don't think it's going to end. It just feels like it's a continuous
That's
dark
right.
tunnel, But
That's right.
we're here to let you know, guys, that it's a season and it's gonna pass. It's a painful
Yep.
process that you go through, but this is not the end of the story. And just continue to have hope. And for somebody who was like dumped, right? Like someone who, went through a breakup where like they were dumped by the person that they were with. I think it's important for you to take time to be by yourself, yes, but I also think it's really important for you to just go out there and just do things with people, right? Because I think
That's right.
when you now
That's right.
sit and you're just dwelling and everything that happened, the mind is a very terrible thing because it will convince you that there was something wrong with you. And then it's just a whole spiral of like,
Mm.
oh, what if I had changed this? And what if I had changed this? So that's something I wanted to say. Another thing that you also mentioned, Oye, was the whole thing of, maybe you went through a breakup and you want the person back. I actually have mad respect for that, and Oil, you mentioned that you tried to get the person back and like, in some cases the person didn't want to get back together. But I think it takes a lot of courage. And I honestly feel like you should have no regrets in life. If,
Mm.
you broke up with someone or someone broke up with you, but you really want things to work, I think there's no harm in trying to get them back. But to
That's
Oya's
right.
point, if it gets to a point where someone doesn't want to be with you, then you're going to have to swallow the pill, which is a very difficult one to swallow, right? But it's still in
Yep.
the end something that you need to swallow. And guys, I mean, I watch a lot of crazy things on Netflix, but there's this show or series or docu series. It's called I Am a Stalker, and what happens sometimes is like somebody gets broken up with, right? Like their person breaks up with them and they just cannot
Mm.
accept that the person has chosen someone else. And now they're doing a whole lot of crazy things. And the worst part is sometimes that stuff that people are doing hurts them. Like now you're the one in jail, right? And it's like, okay, was that
Mm.
person, the boyfriend who broke up with you, the girlfriend who broke up with you, were they worth you being in jail? So I think that's why it's also important to
Exactly.
even have friends or like family, like a good community of people that also give you that sane check and tell you that, hey, you know what, like take your mind off this. Like there's more coming and you should just have hope about it.
Yeah. And for the guys, I'll leave you with one last word. I know we live in a world where it's hard to show emotion as a man, but if you gotta lock your doors and cry when you're going through something hard, I'll say, do it, bro. Do
Hmm.
it. That's all I had to say.
Do
That's
it.
it.
No, for real. Honestly, I think, do it, take the time to heal before getting into the next relationship. And just really, I think ultimately, sometimes it helps to think about it this way. Like, if I was an innocent person, how would I feel if someone who was not over their ex got into a relationship with me, right? If you
With
know
me,
that that would
exactly.
hurt you, then don't do that to somebody else. And
Don't
actually,
do
that
it.
ties, yeah,
That's
that
right.
ties back to like the mini episode I did where I was saying, guys, like let's all just walk in honesty, whatever your current situation is. If you're in a season, and it's totally fine. If you're listening to this podcast and you're like, sis, bro, like I'm out here trying to have a good time, I'm trying to date for fun, that's good. The only thing is walk in your truth, right? You want to date for fun? That's
Yeah,
fine. Make sure
that's
you
right.
communicate it to other people.
Yep,
Like don't then make other people feel like, oh, you're dating to be serious, but you're actually just dating for fun. Similarly, if you're dating or you want to get into a relationship with the intention of marrying or seeing marriage at some point, I feel like you should communicate it to someone because it's unfair to pin
that's
that
right.
on somebody when somebody is actually just, like, oh, maybe they're just being in a relationship to see
Chilling.
where it goes. And yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
And so sometimes I also feel like before getting into a relationship, make sure that all those big questions, this is more for like people who are on the more serious path of life, I guess make
Mm.
sure that you are addressing those big ticket items before getting into the relationship.
That's
And there
right.
is nothing worse than assuming, guys. I think sometimes we fall in love
Mm.
with the idea of somebody like, wow, like the person actually never said that that's the type of person that they are, but to you, that's what you saw, and you're like, you know what? I see this man
Yep.
as my husband. He's gonna be the father of my children.
Mm.
Meanwhile, this man, he's like, I've actually never seen marriage in my life. Like that's not something that I want to do. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I want to have, because I
Yeah.
met like a
True.
guy, not in a romantic sense. He was like an old friend or whatever. He's like, oh, you know what? I want to have kids and possibly even with different women, but I don't want to be in a relationship. And you know what? Actually,
Jesus.
yeah. And this brings me to this, that I'm gonna
Mhm.
do like a series where I talk about the different types of relationships that are out there. Like I said, guys, this conversation that Oye and I were having was a monogamous, committed relationship. But there's a lot of stuff out there.
Yep.
There are people who are into polyamory. And so if somebody is into like dating a lot of people and stuff like that, and you're like, oh my gosh, one woman, one man, it's not gonna work. Like you're gonna chop
Yeah,
breakfast.
it's just
And
not.
yeah, and I
Yep.
feel like some of the breakfast that's being chopped could be avoided if people have those
Could be
conversations
avoided.
in the beginning. You know what I mean? Like, what are your
Yeah.
intentions before we get into this relationship?
Preach, Michelle.
Hey! Don't encourage me because you know me, I'm a foolishness.
What Imma say last is, guys at home, you know, if if you in love with the woman and you know you have good intentions for her,
Hmm.
and this is another thing that I learned, just tell her randomly, "Babe, I love you," or
Wow.
"You look beautiful today," or, you know, "I like your feet." I'm not saying I like feet, okay? I was making a point, all right? That came out fast, and I was like, "I gotta catch it." But what
Everybody will
I'm
be like, he's
saying
a
is
foot guy, the guy with the foot
I
fetish.
know, right? That's why I had to cut it immediately. But no, guys, what I'm trying to say is, one of the lessons that I've also learned is, you gotta reassess or assess people that are important to you, and you gotta let them know, right? You gotta let them
Hmm.
know. Life is short, right? And when you're in a relationship, honesty is important, and it's not
Hmm.
really that hard. For some reason, this was something I struggled with, but it's really not hard. You just gotta say the truth, and you will feel better. Honesty is way better than lying 100% of the time. So try your best to do that. Loyalty is important because you don't know how it affects the other person. So if you're
Hmm.
going to be in a monogamous relationship, be with your girl and that's it. I know it's hard sometimes, but be with your girl and that's it. I meant it. These are hardcore lessons from a dude that has been served breakfast multiple times in his life, and each of
Hmm.
them came with different learnings. And I'm just bundling it all up and telling you guys about it. So those are my last words. Tell them you love them. Let them know how important they are to you. Stay loyal. Stay faithful. Put God between y'all because I feel like God is important.
Hmm.
And continue to be self-aware, right? And
Hmm.
don't hide your feelings, man. Just let it all out. Be honest. That's it. That's all I'm saying.
Wow.
Thank you,
Wow.
Michelle.
No, I honestly love that. And I think a key thing also from everything you were saying is, I would say, don't take the person for granted, right? Because sometimes you're in a relationship and
Correct.
it's great. And maybe you now get into this, oh, this person is never gonna leave me, like they're mine or whatever. And you stop
Mm,
showing them the things you
yeah,
used to show. So I think being in a relationship is also like a journey of constantly showing the other person how much they mean to you and vice versa, like pouring into each other's cups the whole time.
that's
So
right.
I think it's an
That's right.
important thing. And hey guys, relationships are a beautiful thing. And I just want to say, as the year is
Mhm.
starting off, for everybody who's out there searching, I hope love finds you, and I hope that it brings you what you want. And for people who are currently going through a single season and they're like, you know what, I just want to enjoy the season, I really hope you get out of it what you want out of it. And actually, that's going to be a new thing that's going to be coming on the podcast. Because, on the podcast, I've always talked about like love and the relationships, and it's always involving another person. So, what I'm also going to do is have some episodes that will be talking about loving yourself, because I think it's really important to have
Mm,
self love as well. before you even have love in a relationship. So more to come on that. But I just want to say thank you so much, Oye, for being on the podcast. It was lit. Okay.
It was a good time for sure. I don't like feet, guys.
You were out here telling us about pancakes and like eggs and like all these things you've been
Yep.
served in the past. And also, guys, for everybody who's listening, Oya is actually a singer. So, Oya, can you please sing last for the people?
Everybody go chop breakfast.
What? Really? After I hype you so much, that's what you're gonna do.
I know, right? Yeah. We sing, but it is what it is.
Listen, clearly Oya's walking in if you're not paying me to sing, I ain't singing for nobody. So sorry guys, I
That's
thought I'd give
right.
you a mini
It's
Burna Boy concert.
2023.
I thought I'd give you a mini Burna Boy concert, but my person didn't deliver today. So anyway, thank you so much, Oya, for all the valuable
Unfortunately.
lessons and for talking with me about this relationship conversation. It was just really fun and also very insightful. I took so many notes. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for being a wonderful host. It was great to be on here. You guys have a great rest of your day.
Thanks for listening. Catch us in the next episodes. Peace. Ndiwe wandiro ya moyo wangu, ndiwe wandiganganiza fungwa zangu.